thoughts on that? Is that fair? Is that fair to those taxpayers of the state of Illinois? And what should be done about that?
Well, Chicago is a very unique situation, and that's why, you know, and jokingly people talk about having Chicago secede from Illinois. You know, we have home rule, which is a different rule for big counties than small counties, so we have a lot of diversity. You know, nobody likes special legislation, but you know, the upside of special legislation is that sometimes you have laws that a particular area needs, very importantly, but you don't want to affect the entire state with it. So I mean, that would suggest that, you know, there is a need to have localized laws. But that's general in concept. And when you break it down, you know, with the handgun bans in particular, you know, I think we need to have a statewide rule on that.
Yeah, because you can be a law-abiding citizen
in one area,
driving one area, and then you're a felon just within
right.
5 minutes.
Right. So I think it depends on the law that you're talking about, and so I can't. You know, it's like anything else. It's hard to make a blanket statement about that. And as long as you have, you know, a city that is so large as Chicago versus the rest of the state, you know, you're going to have unique issues that probably have to be addressed uniquely.
Well, let me make you address a few specific things, because let's talk about the 10th Amendment a little bit. At what point do you feel the federal government's overstepping their bounds with the state of Illinois? And when do you feel, or should the state of Illinois be evoking the 10th Amendment against the federal government? What are some areas you think would be, I guess, subject to that amendment?
Well, certainly in the new health care bill, I'm told anyway, and I haven't seen the latest draft of it, that there is a provision that would override medical malpractice liability caps and reforms. And you know, that is an area that should be left to the states. The federal government shouldn't have the right to overrule that. And that's the first area that comes to mind. I can't think of it just off the top of the head, not having seen these questions before. I can't think of any other areas.
That's understandable. That's understandable. I guess the question is are you in favor of revoking the 10th Amendment if you see something come across the federal government that you believe is interfering with the state of Illinois? Would you be in favor of pushing for that, or do you feel the federal government gets final say in everything?
Well, I certainly don't. I'm certainly in favor of the invoking the amendment, but it would take a balancing test, and you'd have to look at each individual situation. I'm not in favor of giving the federal government the dictatorial powers.
Okay. What's your thoughts on the Second Amendment?
I support concealed carry. I support the Second Amendment, certainly. I've been a hunter since age 12. Okay. I hunted fish, grew up hunting, fishing, and trapping in western Illinois. Okay. And I'm a gun owner myself, and a hunter. I think we should repeal the FOID card as well, because I think it's obsolete due to instant background checks. Okay.
And Chicago right now is going to be going before the Supreme Court, and they could overturn Chicago's gun ban laws, and I guess I assume you'd be in favor of that, and trying to have uniformity of gun laws in the state of Illinois.
I am. I mean, and the area of concealed carry is a good example where we have concealed carry in Illinois. It's just not for law-abiding citizens. It's for the bad guy.
Well, let me ask you a sensitive question here. Do you believe it is right for taxpayer dollars to fund practices that taxpayers find morally objectionable? And what I'm referring to really is two things. One would be, of course, abortion. And the other one would be, of course, to be on the opposite kind of throw that is someone who's anti-war. I mean, those are both cases where people have moral objections and feel that maybe their tax dollars shouldn't go to fund those things. What are your thoughts on that?
That is it's a unique question. I haven't heard that on the campaign trail.
We try to be unique. So.
I certainly oppose taxpayer-funded abortions, but I would certainly oppose a movement to eliminate national defense because of conscientious objectors.
Okay. I like to mention both. Because
they're opposite ends of the spectrum.
They're opposite ends of the spectrum, but they both are, you know, moral decisions for people. So that's why we ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you get into morality too, I mean, that's an awfully subjective field. I mean, I don't think government should be run, you know, based on, you know, morals, because it sounds like you're getting into an area where it's just totally undefined. I mean, we have separation of church and state. I mean, you know, that's what the Islamic republics seem to do. They base their government on somebody's vision and view of morals. And I thought that's what we had a revolution about, was to get away from that kind of thinking and to decide things, you know, based on the rule of reason, not the rule of men, which really, you know, the rule of morals is kind of another version of the rule of man.
Okay. Last question. Here's your chance to look in the camera and tell the people of the state of Illinois why they should elect you and what your unique qualifications are of, you know, why you should be the next lieutenant governor.
Well, thank you,
Sure.
Steve. I think one of my unique qualifications is my experience. For 40 years, I've been in the private sector, first in sales, and the last 33 years as a business attorney, helping family businesses and other business clients get out of crisis situations. The state is in crisis now, and I think the skills I've developed over 3 decades of helping business clients will help get the state out of this financial disaster that we're in without a tax increase. In essence, I'm running to make Illinois more financially responsible, less anti-business, less corrupt, and better managed. And I think that my combined business ownership and business law background helps me bring, you know, both of those aspects to it. And one good example of that, to make this a little bit more concrete, is in the area of workers' compensation reform. One of the reasons why we have lost over 400,000 jobs the last 10 years, while the national economy has been growing over 1 million jobs, is because our workers' compensation rates are twice what they are in some of our neighboring states. And until we can reduce that differential, it's going to be hard to compete with these neighboring states. No wonder we're losing jobs, not just to Indiana, or not just to India, but also to Indiana. And it's not because our benefits are so high, though certainly they are high. It's mainly because of abusive workers' compensation claims. And to cut down on that and to reduce our rates, we just need to have some, what I would call relatively modest reforms. But it's real reform, not the pseudo-reform we did in 2005. It's the kind of reform that Missouri did in 2005. It's the kind of reform that would make diagnosis of soft tissue injuries more objective, such as by involving the AMA or adopting the AMA guidelines. It's the kind of reform that says if you got hurt because you were drunk on the job, well, then your claim benefits are going to be reduced. It's the kind of reform that says employers shouldn't have to pay for pre-existing injuries 100%. They should get a credit for that. It's the kind of reform that says that your claim is compensable if the workplace accident was the primary cause of your injury, not just a contributing factor. I mean, we are driving jobs out of Illinois left and right. And if we're going to grow this economy and bring the state back from the brink of financial insolvency without a tax increase, then we've got to bring these jobs back, and that would be a step in the right direction. And I think my unique background of law and business would help me deal with those issues and engage in the hard, difficult negotiating that we're going to have to take with the union bosses and the trial lawyers to get this done, because they're going to fight us every step of the way. So again, my name is Don Tracy. It's not Nick Tracy. I'm running for Republican Lieutenant Governor, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
If they want more information, where can they go? You have a website or something?
Yes, we have a website at tracyforillinois.com, and that Tracy is no E, T-R-A-C-Y, and we spell out the 4. So tracyforillinois.com.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.